case and wanting to get your thoughts on this. Now the prosecutor, Christine Kowal, and the defense attorney, David Draper, are going to join me to answer your questions on the phone. First of all, Christine, David, thank you so much for taking these calls. And now let's turn to our callers. Yeah, sure thing. And Lisa from California, tell us what you think about this, and do you have any questions for our lawyers?
Well, actually, I'm just outraged on the whole trial. I believe that it was a calculated murder. I believe that they did not drill the mother, or his attorney did not let the defense attorney. Is it the defense attorney or the prosecutor?
What do you mean? Well, both lawyers are here, but you're saying that
I believe that the male attorney did not let the woman drill the mother of the daughter like she should have. She was saying that she believed the story of the little girl, which was hearsay. I do not believe he should have gotten second-degree murder because of the fact he just shot his son. How do you shoot your own children, someone you gave life to?
Okay.
How do you have no remorse? You're not showing any remorse.
So, Lisa, is that the critical factor for you? You think it's first-degree murder, and it really turns for you on remorse?
No, not really on just the remorse part, but to sit there and listen to each person's testimony. Everybody is sitting here going by he-say. The mother is going by he-say from what the sister told her that the little girl was doing. The doctor came in and said the girl was crying hysterically. If the girl was crying hysterically, why wasn't she crying hysterically when she was taken to the ER emergency room that day? How come she wasn't crying then? If she was so hysterical on what had happened to her, how come they couldn't find anything? And then her doctor found something later on after the boy was killed. But then he said it should have disappeared by now. It should be in the healing stages.
So, Lisa, your thought, and I just want to ask it so we can talk to our lawyers, your thought is that Monique Cherry should have been asked more questions or grilled more forcefully?
I do believe so.
Okay.
Because the father's actions were based on what she said to him.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much for that call. I'm going to turn to Christine on this. Christine, Lisa's saying that Jamar Sr. reacted because of what Monique Cherry said and taking issue as to why maybe you didn't grill her as much as you should have, or maybe Karan Ivy. What do you think about that?
I believe that Karan Ivy is the one that was repeating everything that her 3-year-old daughter said, and obviously, given the mother-daughter relationship and obviously behavior that catalyzed the mother taking the 3-year-old to Children's Hospital initially that Sunday night, what bothered me the most regarding this hearsay issue that your viewer is addressing, it was very troublesome to me that when the defense witness, I believe it was Dr. Bashir, testified, he indicated that everything came from the mother, Karan Ivy's mouth. He was not allowed to talk to the 3-year-old, and I found that very troublesome, the fact that if your 3-year-old, in fact, was a victim or an allegation of sexual assault, this is a pediatrician who's had your child since birth and is clearly skilled in dealing with children and having children convey to him, and the fact that everything came from Karan Ivy's mouth was troublesome and actually aggravated. It was an aggravating factor that could have implied that she in fact created this laceration on her daughter because of the timing of when it was discovered and the fact that it was absent the previous day at Children's Hospital.
All right, so Lisa maybe spurring her on, Lisa mentioning the same kind of thing and asking that question. And again, just to clarify, Lisa was asking about you pressing Karan Ivy, not Monique Cherry. Just want to clarify that point. You addressed it as well. Now let's turn to Cynthia in Michigan. Cynthia, what are your thoughts?
I have a question for the prosecutor. I wonder why why Karan was not declared a hostile witness.
Good question. You know what? Thank you so much for that, Cynthia. Good question. Christine, what do you think? Should she have been declared a hostile witness in this case?
The legal difference or legal significance of declaring someone a hostile witness allows you, when the prosecution calls a witness, I conduct what's called a direct examination on them, where I do not, I ask them open-ended questions. I cannot lead the witness in terms of suggesting what it is that the answer should be, and that essentially is a leading question. To declare someone a hostile witness merely would allow me to lead in terms of it would be like I would be cross-examining her, and given the fact that I anticipated she was going to be giving me a hard time on the stand, I felt that her demeanor on the stand would come across that way, and there was no way she was going to cooperate. And I thought that the jury, that was the best way for the jury to see her finding me on the questions, her unwillingness to answer the question straight up, declaring her hostile. It would just be a matter of a different technique in terms of the way I could answer questions. I wanted her to talk.
Okay, so
And
the
that was
point being
preference.
the point being that her demeanor and the way she answered your questions, whether you declare her hostile or not, it's bringing out the desired result that you wanted.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Let's turn to our next caller, Ashley in North Carolina. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
I'm just more so disappointed than anything. I honestly felt like he should have got first-degree murder.
Okay.
Only because he showed no emotion the whole trial for those whole 2 weeks at all. He didn't cry. He didn't whimper. He didn't do anything. And this is somebody that he brought to the world. Like, I'm still boggled by how could you take your 15-year-old son out in the middle of the yard and shoot him execution style?
But Ashley, could the fact that he had a calm demeanor in court, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, could the fact that he's so calm in court kind of lend credence to the idea that during the situation he tried to stay calm in the same way that he is in court, which means when he snapped, he really did snap. In other words, it's out of character for him to do what he did, and maybe that's the snapping effect that the defense keeps talking about.
Okay, and to go off of that, like, if that was the case, then if you know you was placing yourself in a hostile environment when you was on your way to the house, why would you bring a gun?
Very good point.
Why would you bring a gun? This is your 15-year-old son. Yeah, I could understand, okay, maybe you beating the living doodle out of him, but I don't understand. Why would you bring a gun to the situation? That's like bringing a gun to a knife fight.
All right, Ashley, thank you so much for that
Ryan.
call. I want to turn to David
Ryan.
Draper on that because, David, it's a question. She asked a very good question, very well thought out.
Yes.
Why bring that gun? He has this gun every day. He has his permit. He knows how to use this gun. He's emotional. Why bring the gun in the house?
We talked to him about that both, on the stand and off the stand. As we indicated, he had a CCW. In Michigan, you're allowed to carry a concealed weapon if you meet certain criteria, don't have a felony, take a class, and et cetera. And he did that. He took those steps and legally was able to carry that gun. Detroit, unfortunately, is a relatively, in areas, can be an unsafe city. And it's not uncommon for people to carry concealed weapons in the city. And what I think is important, what maybe didn't come out in the trial is, think about these 24 hours or just less than 24 hours. He gets this call in the afternoon on Sunday or towards dinner time. They go to the hospital. Basically, everybody's up all night. There's a phone call at 3 in the morning. He's up again at 6 in the morning. He can't sleep. Everybody's on edge. And that is in both families. Everybody's on edge. He gets up in the morning, and the weird thing about the toothpaste and brushing the teeth, he said to us, I forgot to brush my teeth that morning. I mean, he walks into that house at 10 a.m. It seems like 10 a.m., yeah, you had a good night's sleep, whatever. He didn't. He was a mess that morning.
All right, but David, he has the presence of mind to go out, get his toothbrush, brush his teeth, but when he's going out to the car, wouldn't you think, let me drop the gun and come back in, because this is obviously getting me agitated?
And I don't carry a gun, so I don't know. But my guess is that's not something that he just wants to leave in the car, under the front seat or what have you, and go back in the house. I presume that's a valuable item. It is. And he'd rather keep it on his person. I'm just speculating, but rather keep it on his person rather than to leave it in the car.
All right, David.
But again, as I indicated, no gun, no death. And we're not here today.
David, I want to take our
Ryan,
next
one
caller. Christine, before I go to you, I want to take our next caller just so we can make sure we address our viewers here. Diana in Illinois. Diana, how you doing today?
Okay, how are you?
Good. Diana, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, well, my thought is that this man got off way too easy. He should have been put in jail, and they should have threw away the key. And I would like to ask a question for the defense attorney, because I can't understand how he can defend this man, even today, because this man executed his baby boy. Blood. It's just, I don't know, it's just so hurtful. This man's heartless. He has nothing.
Diana, in so many trials, such a tough trial to deal with. Diana, thank you so much for that input. David, answer the question. It's a question that a lot of lawyers get, a lot of us lawyers, when we're defending clients. How could you defend this client given what he did?
And Ryan, I know you have defended clients, and Midwin does, and many do. And it's just part of our system that we have. I'm not saying what he did is correct, nor did Corbett, we abhor what happened on that day. We find it horrible. It was a very difficult case to take on in the early stages for Corbett and I. It turns your stomach, as a defense attorney, as anybody. It was horrible.
All right.
But this man deserves a defense. We have a system set up in the United States of America that I think is the best system, in my opinion.
Right.
And it declares that the defendant is entitled to certain constitutional rights and gets a lawyer to come in and defend him. And that's simply what we were doing.
David, you make a good point. I got to cut
right.
you off because we got to get going. But David, Christine, thank you so much for joining us and taking our calls. And I want to thank our viewers as well. And be sure, everyone, to join us tomorrow for Jamar Pinkney's sentencing. He faces up to life in prison for the murder of his 15-year-old son. Now, also tomorrow, the live sentencing for Daniel Kovar-Basich. He was charged with murdering the man he says molested him